Hello, Internet people. Nice to meet you. My name is Alan, and today I have something a little bit unique for you. It is a game called Mogul. Now, the game is early access, and it's not exactly a very complex game. If you like games like Satisfactory or Hydroneer, it's basically like that, where you go gather resources, put them on belts, send them to various um, basically smelteries and such like that to turn them into ingots, plates, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And then you sell it for cold hard cash to build new stuff to further make the mines, factory, whatever better. I'm gonna start a new game for you all, and I'm gonna just take you through, well, hopefully this turning this entire place into one giant factory, as I've done for several hours now. Basically just teaching you how to, well, play the game, or at the very least showing you how I do it. Start off with, of course, what you have is all here, right here. Everything you need to play the game is already here. This is where you buy shit. It You really won't have nothing for a while. Here's a handy dandy little lantern which you can actually pick up and take. It'll give you light. Here's a little hard hat for safety reasons. For some reason you can't pick it up and wear it. Unfortunate. But I'm not OSHA, so I don't really care. And here is our main tool of destruction for a while, the pickaxe. We'll just take that. We will just start smashing up some of these iron nodes, and out come these chunks of iron ore. Then you just chuck them in the little box here, and it'll sell it. And as you see, each and every time we toss it in there, it takes a little bit, but eventually it disappears down the chute, and boom bam boom, you got money. So we go over, smash another rock, toss these on in there, and boom. The quest in the upper left hand corner is completed. Well, not completed, but changed. So now we can come on into here and buy the ore magnet. And this thing, which will fall down the chute, everything you buy from here is just going to fall down the chute. This thing is the most handy tool I've ever seen. What I like to do is once I have that, I basically just go run around, smash up all these ores that I can. Lucky me. Smash up all the ores that I can, and then I take my handy dandy little magnet thing, hold right click, and it gathers up all the little bits of ore. And then you just drop it on in. And then it slowly just sells all that stuff. And now I've got a whole crud ton of money. And that's basically what you're going to be doing for the early game. Now, one thing I should mention is this little spot right here. There are going to be various spots right over there where that green emerald I dropped is. That's another spot. I just got to clear out all the rocks in the way and you'll see it. In the upper left hand corner, that quest, that auto miner, that's going to be your basic automation. That will be where you start with the whole automation stuff. Eventually, you're going to get to the point where you're going to be doing, well, basically nothing more than just watching belts deliver various pieces of ore and other such materials to that box. That is the overall goal. Deliver stuff to that box. Just like this. And with that, yeah, now we've got it set up. So now we can just come on over here, go over to machines, and buy our first machine. as well as buy as many of these straight conveyors as we possibly can. The conveyor belts, of course, as you can probably figure, deliver stuff. And you see, as soon as you start pulling out anything that can be buildable, you'll see the little outlines of the mines. And there's quite a few of them, as you can see. One up there, all these ones down there, one up there. Needless to say, it is very, very nice. What's even more nice, though, is that, see, it snaps to place. As soon as you pull out the miner, you snap it on a place, and then the top of your screen, you'll see the resources that will be generated. The likelihood of which of those resources it will be. Now, that green thing you saw over there, that I just put over here, that is the emerald gem. And another gem is the diamond gem. Those will be basically 2 out of the 3 gems that you're going to see from, well, anything. And honestly, those 2 are the only ones that you need to worry about right now that will come out of any of these machines. As far as you need to worry about, as far as the gems need to be worried about, those will be the only 2 gems you will ever have to worry about coming out of any of your machines. There's a 3rd gem, of course, but that one is a special case, and when we get to it, I will explain why it's a special case, and you'll understand why it's a special case. But for right now, all you need to worry about is just getting your stuff built up so you can automatically toss it into the box. As you see, I'm building up a little bit more money, so that way I can basically just go and start building up a bit of a place here. Now, as soon as you place down miner, it's on. So, if you want to go and build something out, I would highly advise that you really quickly rush on over to it, press F, which is my hotkey, and then turn it off. Luckily for you, almost always, because of how it is, your clicker will always be right here on the turn off. So it will always it shouldn't be hard for you just to really quickly just get in there, click off, and you should be able to do it without even worrying about any resources coming out, causing you to have to go and fix that, clean it up. If you're somebody like me who likes having a somewhat clean area, yeah, it's really handy. It's really nice. But I'm not going to worry about that too much because, well, with this magnet thing, I don't have to worry too much about that. I'm just going to go and continue smashing all these rocks up. You may have noticed that there was 2 other options than just turn it off and turn it on, and that's pack and take. Take is pretty self-explanatory. You're just basically putting it back into your inventory. Packing it is basically putting it into a little box. Basically how it looked when it fell down the chute. And we, grabbed it. You can actually turn all of your stuff into boxes. And then have it be doing whatever the heck you want / need it to hang out. If you need to store it somewhere, I mean. And that's pretty handy sometimes, to a certain point. For instance, obviously, once you get more advanced stuff, more advanced conveyor belts, of which there's only one really more advanced version of the conveyor belts, and that's these walled ones. I use them almost exclusively at a certain point. Because, honestly, well, you kind of need to, well, it's very handy to have high walls on your conveyor belts because eventually you're going to have a whole crud ton of various um, resources on the same belt, and, well, you don't want them falling off. If they fall off, you're going to have to go pick them up, or you're going to have to figure out some way to get them back on the belt. It's just annoying. The high walls make it so that it's less likely that it will do you any massive harm. Like, it won't be as likely that you'll have to worry about your stuff suddenly falling off the belt. I'm not going to say that's going to be impossible. After all, physics engines tend to like, well, messing about with things. And sometimes you're just unlucky. That being said, it's a good thing to be a little bit smart about it. You don't want to go and put too much stuff on the same belt, but I personally find that it's not all that difficult to keep the stuff on the belt. And obviously here we have a little secret area. There's a whole crud ton of them in these caves. You're going to be finding secret areas all over the wazoo. So don't be too shocked to be exploring a little bit. Once you get your mines to a certain point, you can just basically ignore them and just let the cash build up. Tab opens up your inventory, and your inventory is pretty much just real basic. Recently, they increased the size of it by line, I believe. And you can go to any of your stuff, click on it, and they'll tell you what they do. And as you can see, you can actually drop anything. And for lanterns, if you drop them, well, there it is. You now have a lantern that can provide you light, whereas if you had it in your inventory, obviously it's no light unless it's out. So yeah, very, very good idea as far as I'm concerned, where if you're in an area like this, just drop your lantern, do a bit of mining, and then pick it back up. And as you can see, those blue things, those are obviously the diamonds. Those are very obviously the diamonds. And you might be wondering, Alan, they must be valuable, right? Why, oh why, are you separating them from all the other ores? Well, it's very simple, my dear friends. It's because they're so valuable. They're very valuable, yes. But the thing is that they can get even more valuable later on. That is, once again, something that you will see in the future. It won't be right away, but I can assure you, you'll see it. We just come on over here. Here's another, of course, spot for a mine. And looking at our money, we do have enough to go and buy another mine. So that might be our next goal. Well, what am I saying? That definitely is our next goal. But what I mean is that's something that we should do next. Just come back over here, drop off all this ore, and then we go over to here, go over to machines. Ah, yes. As you can see, the quests just keep giving us new stuff, and the ore crusher here is something that you're going to like a lot. It's going to be a very, very good thing to get. Of course, I'm just going to get another miner, but you're going to want you're going to want another couple of them. You're going to want some of them. That's all I'm going to say. So, where are we going to put the next miner? Me personally, I usually just keep going like this. I usually just plop it down, plop the first one there, run it like so. Then I plop the next one right there. Run the line, as you can probably figure, just like this. Nothing too important or difficult to handle. Just come over here every now and again, purchase another straight conveyor belt, then continue on your way. At the end, you're going to want to use this. It's basically called a conveyor ledge. What it does is more or less just toss the stuff onto a conveyor belt that's already, in progress. And you'll see once I start her up how very handy these things can be. There, now that's complete. Now we watch as the first of the ores come on in. You can actually stand on it, and it'll actually go and get you what you need to do. And as you can see, it's coming on. And as you can see, it's worked just fine. And now we've basically doubled our resource collection. Now, obviously, in the early games, it's going to be a bit slow. It's going to be really slow, and you're basically just going to be doing what I'm doing. Just going around collecting all sorts of resources by hand. That's what you're going to be doing. Just giving you a fair warning about that right now. This is just how it's going to be. It doesn't ramp up real fast. In fact, the faster you can basically collect resources is the faster that it can ramp up. I mean, no real big shock there. That's kind of how all of these games work, right? But for this game especially, at least as far as this current version, you're going to be basically just running around collecting all these resources, and you're eventually going to just slowly build up your mine here. I'm gonna say, from my personal experience, once you get this starting cavern filled up, you'll be in a decent-ish shape. But once it is completely filled up, you're going to need to redo your whole, everything. You're going to need to redo your whole belt working and such like that to make it more sustainable for the longer work. Now this, as you can see, is a blocked off path. These, you really don't have to worry about any of this dynamite or whatever hurting you, obviously. It just won't. That's just to keep players from running off to mess about in areas that are, rather large and resource rich. You don't have to do any, super crazy nonsense to try to get at it. In fact, I can show you exactly what it's going to entail you doing to get all that stuff. Mostly because I've played this game for so flippin' long. And this is what you're going to be looking for to try to blow up those things. As you can see, another blocked off path. Just come on over here, click F to interact, and boom, it blows up. And then you can scoop up the resources that were in the rock in the rocks. And just wander back on over to your place. Dropping off belt and money. And yeah, that's basically the game. You have already figured out how the game works. All you do, just go, plop down mines, build conveyor belts to various places, and you're golden. Now, I'm not gonna say that there's not something more to the game than that, but it's not a lot more than that, honestly speaking here. There are ways to make more money than just tossing in, the pure ores, obviously. You can refine them into, well, ingots. The iron, the coal, all that nonsense can be turned into ingots. Now, the iron obviously turns into iron ingots, but the coal itself is not super good. You're not going to have coal ingots. They turn into junk ingots, which, ironically enough, is also the same type of ingots you get whenever you mix literally any other ore. There are 4 types of ore in the game, if we're not counting any of the gemstones, of course. You've already seen all of them. You got the iron, you got the coal, you got the gold that we pulled out of there, and then, of course, down here we had copper. This color. Though that color of ore, yeah, that's copper. You've already seen all 4 of the ores. That's it. At least for this version. There's no other types of ore. And, as I've already said, you've already seen 2 out of 3 gemstones. Now, the 3rd gemstone. That one's a little bit of a special one. And we'll get to that eventually. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that. But for now, don't worry about it. We're all golden. And, speaking of which, we have enough money to buy the crusher. Now, as you see, the quest log just updated for a blast furnace. Excuse me. And obviously, that's where you're going to be getting your ingots from. But it also is saying that there's another quest available. Press T, and you're in the quest screen. Go over to the available one, and boom. Now it wants us to go and do a little bit of scavenging around. But we're not going to be done with this just yet, because there's another screen here. And this is the research screen. Here we are going to be finding all the various resources and all the various stuff that you're going to be unlocking through your quests. Because as you can see on the side here, some will just have basically just being able to unlock buildings or get new tools. Or sometimes it will give you money and research tickets, or just straight up research tickets. All of this is to go into here. These research tickets, they're to unlock all of this stuff. Now, this is actually a pretty good place to explain the, shaker table, which is where you get the final gemstone. The final gemstone comes from the shaker table, and it's a ruby. Right over here. What you do is you input the pure coal ore, not the crushed stuff, which is as you can see, crushed iron. Those will be the little bits that you may have seen pop out. Don't worry about them. The crushed, any of the crushed coal, it won't help you out with the shaker table. It won't help you out. You need the big ones. The pure coal ore. These guys. Right here. Come in various shapes, sizes, yada yada yada. Normally what I do is I just have pretty much everything in this general area, all the coal, just going into a shaker table. You could just have, like, it half and half, some ore going into there and some going into the shaker table, because the shaker table is not just turning them straight into rubies. I mean, it says it right here, a chance. From my personal experience, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be getting either crushed coal, which is, the smaller version of coal, or nothing at all. It won't give you anything. It'll just destroy the coal. Some people would probably be a little bit worried and want to keep some of their coal. No, it's not worth it. Trust me, 1 ruby, even just on its own, not refined like we could do later on with all the other gems, it's more valuable than any amount of coal that you'd lose, realistically speaking. And by the time you really do mess about with shakers and such, trust me, it's going to be worth it just to toss all the coal into there. There's no sense in trying to go and force the coal to do something special. No. Don't worry about it. Continue on, though. Here are my favorite of the conveyor belts. These walled conveyors. Like I said earlier, they're really, really handy. So, alright. Now we've got ourselves the crusher. Now, the crusher is a little bit special. You can see the little green arrows. That tells you where the stuff is going to come out of. But where does it go in? Well, you can see at the very top there. The little green arrows pointing downwards. That's where the stuff is needing to go in. How the heck do you get it up there, though? Because as you can see, we've got a bit of a problem. Well, that's where these conveyor belts come on in. Just 2 of them will always get you up to the top. Easy as pie. And I should warn you, the blast furnace is going to be basically the same exact thing. It's going to be one that you feed out the top and it comes out the bottom. Which is why I usually have a setup where basically I just set up the slanted conveyors here. The slope conveyors, conveyors. In a sort of fashion right out of the crusher. Just nothing special, just do this and then just fall into the blast furnace and boom bam boom, we don't have to worry about anything special happening. Oh, just saw one. See? That's what a crushed iron looks like. But we're just going to turn all this off. We're going to go over to here, and we're going to grab something called a sorter conveyor. Now, what is a sorter conveyor? Well, this little handy dandy little thing is your new best friend. Trust me on that one, it's your new best friend. If you don't think it is, trust me, it is. Another one of your friends that I should have grabbed earlier was the hammer. That would have made that a lot easier. The hammer basically just deletes stuff. That's its whole function. It just deletes stuff. Should have gotten that way earlier, but oh well. You live and you learn. So, conveyor sorter. Basically, this little handy dandy doohickey, it sorts whatever the heck you have in this up here in this basket. It sorts it out and tosses it up. It tosses it to the side. Whatever you put into this basket is going to get chucked into the side. So that's why it's usually pretty gosh darn handy to have a few of these around. Okay, so once you go and get this, once I actually start these up, if there's nothing in the basket, everything's just going to go out front. So you're going to need at least something put in there. What are we going to put in there? Obviously, we're going to put the ores in there. The coal, the, the iron, and that's pretty much it. Sure, we put the crushed ores in there too, because the crushed ores won't hurt nothing. It won't extra crush it. It just will, well, it'll just basically let it fall through. I'll show you, actually. Seeing as how I got an extra one. So, first we go, toss that in there, and as you saw, now it kicks out the side. And once it goes up there, falls in, comes out, and now we've got a crushed piece. Put the crushed in there if we want to, but we don't have to. See? Comes out the bottom. It doesn't get any extra crushed. So, what I do is mostly just this. I set up a filter here, have the iron come on out the side. Eventually, once we get some coal, I'm also going to grab this, toss that in there, and now the coal will also get tossed up there, and it'll get crushed. As far as I know, I haven't actually checked it because, well, I really haven't worried too much about it, but I'm pretty sure the crushed ore is just as valuable as the ore that it came from. Like, each one, I believe, is the same value as the original ore. I could be wrong. Have been before. Not going to argue with anybody who says, Alan, you're an idiot. That's wrong. It accumulatively is. Like, all of the pieces that are made are the same value as whatever came out. But I'm going to have to argue against that. Because, personally speaking, from my experience, I don't think so. As you can see, most of them are coming out as two pieces. But I'm pretty sure that every now and then you'll get more than just two pieces. Sometimes you get two, sometimes you get three, sometimes I've even seen perhaps four. Now, am I wrong? Yeah, I probably could be. It could be that I was just mistaken and a whole bunch of ores just happened to pop in when I wasn't paying attention, and suddenly we had 4 pieces of crushed ore from what I thought was 1, but was actually just 2 that had managed to sneak in without me noticing. But that's neither here nor there. Nothing to worry about, honestly, realistically speaking here. If you're going to be going and, as we see, more gemstones. And while I would grab that one, I won't. Because the main reason why I grabbed these and left them like this is purely because of these sorters. As I said, you're going to get to the point where these things, almost all of them will be tossing out at least one type of gem, along with all the ores. And you're going to want to do something about the gems, because if the gems get up here, they get crushed. They get destroyed. They are bye-bye. They are bye-bye. I would, show you, but I really don't feel like losing value just to show you. Just to show you. So, sorry. But yeah, you don't want any of the gems getting tossed into any of these crushers. So, what do we do? Well, you sort them off, like I've done here. Normally what I do is I have the gemstones in here. Though, one could argue that these ores are way, way cheaper, so if you want to maximize your value, do what I did for this first one. Have the ores be the ones being sorted off, not the gemstones. So that way you can keep as many gemstones getting you money and value than anything else. Personally, it's up to you. Honestly, I'm not one to be too super picky or, worry about that nonsense. To each their own, to each their own. Do whatever makes you, well, comfortable. If you want to maximize your value, go right ahead. Nobody's going to stop you. Nobody's going to stop you. But I will say that I find it easier every now and again to do it the gemstone way because, well, sometimes it just is better. I could be wrong, but oh well. And as you've seen, I've set up several more mines. And, as you also might have noticed, I was able to quickly turn them off without any extra bits falling out of them. And then turn them on, and let it start running stuff through. And boom. Now, this area over here. This area over here, I almost exclusively never, ever purely feed into my lines. I almost never just do that all on their own. Once I get to this point, having this area all filled up, that's when I start doing the blast furnace. That's when I start doing the blast furnace stuff. The fact that I haven't already gotten the blast furnace is actually kind of surprising to me, honestly. Though it might be because, well, I'm explaining what I'm doing to you guys. Usually I can crank this out in like, 10, 15 minutes. But since I'm explaining everything, I'm going a bit slower so that way people can kind of keep up. If I'm not, if I'm not going slow enough for you to keep up, my bad. Sorry. Didn't mean to. But, yeah. And of course, you can climb on your machines just as you can probably figure. It's a good idea to do that because, well, as you noticed, there's one up here. And also, there's a little area back there. And that is, once again, the area that was blocked off over there. Still blocked off. I can tell you from experience that that area, that little path that is blocked off, when you unblock it, this will be unblocked too. So don't be in too much of a rush to try to figure out where it is. Or do if you want. I mean, your choice. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Ah, perfect. And this right here is a perfect example of what late game resources look like. Well, maybe not late game, but medium game. These are 2 ingots and a polished emerald. Let me just bring them on over here, and you can very clearly see the difference between a non-polished gem and a polished gem. You want gems polished, because, oh my god, gems that are polished are fucking so expensive. I mean, ingots are expensive too, yeah, sure, but these things are so expensive. You're going to want to go and do the polished easy. And see, these things, these ingots, these gold ingots, you saw how fast they just kicked my money up. I mean, it basically $100 easy. Easy. The crushed ore, it's barely good. It's barely kicking it up by maybe $5, $6. I kicked the ingots in there, and they're freaking kicked up by 100. Now, I should point out, ingots are just like gems. They too need to be polished. They start out unpolished. You're going to want to polish the gem. You're going to want to polish the ingots too. And this is another problem of these sorters I should warn you about. But put too much of the stuff on there and they will begin to back up. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why I like the walls. Because if you do stuff like that where you have a whole bunch of ores that you're wanting to get rid of, you don't have to worry too much about well, you'll have to worry about them backing up, but it won't fall off if it has a walled one, or at least it won't fall off so easily. It still will, it just won't be so easy. Blast furnace is done. Well, I can really quickly go do that, because I really do want to. Blast furnaces are very necessary to continuing the job. They will be able to do so much more. But let's continue exploring this little crooked cavern, because if I remember correctly, there's a lot more resources to be gained in here. Yep. And see, this here is another little area. Another little area with another little pocket. And, aha! Perfect. You might notice over there that scavenger hunt quest. This is a broken drill bit. Before you ask, no, these are not something that you can just find out in the wild. You can actually make these. If we go into our research screen, you'll be able to see this rapid auto miner. This rapid auto miner is, well, like it says, a faster variable rate auto miner that requires a drill bit. However, it breaks after some time, and it can't make gems. Of course, the bit is right here, and these are all basically just buying. You buy these from the same place you buy all the conveyor belts and crap. Me personally, I don't bother with it. What can I say? I've never really found much reason to use the auto miner. I'm not worried. It really just doesn't concern me. I've never found myself in desperate need to have the auto miner making a whole crap ton of resources for me. I usually can scale pretty goddamn quickly. And as you can see, the drill bits can go through the sorter. I wasn't entirely sure if they could or not myself, so that's why I kind of did that, just to see if they could. And of course, broken drill bits get tossed in there, get sold just like everything else. The rapid auto miner here, yeah, sure. It has a version of the drill bit that never breaks. But, well, I've got bad news. Why would I ever use that when I can get these things and get the gems? Why? I just never see the reason for that. Now, could it be that I am leaving resources on the table by doing so? Yes. Do I really care? Not really. No, really, not really. Now, you can see that there's all these diamond gems, whatever. I'm not going to worry too much about them just yet. Later on, when I got a polishing machine, I might worry about them a little bit and come back to go collect them. But for right now, I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried. Now, this ore analyzer. This thing is kind of interesting. What it does is basically, yeah, it does that. It scans whatever goes underneath of it and tells you exactly how much money you're going to get off of it. Get out of it. Now, the weight percentage, I think that actually tells you whether or not you're going to be getting additional crushed ores. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that every now and again, a ore will actually be crushed into, like, more than just the two, like 3 or 4. I could be wrong, like I said, I have been before, but I think the weight actually affects that. Of course, it also tells you the value and what the resource was. And you can see right down here, dirty. That right there, if we go on over here and we snag a couple of these gems, we just toss it on there. You'll see it says dirty. That one is dirty. Unsurprising. Well, actually, I can see that. I can show you that even easier. There we go. Okay. Okay, so you toss that one on there. It says it's dirty. Value of 36.11. This one, yeah, polished. You see, so much more money. Damn near easily double. But then again, the previous one was only like a 90 weight. 90% weight? Yeah. I'm sure if it was 107 just like that, it'd probably be at least a double. For sure a double, probably. And that's the reason why you want them polished. You want them polished because you're basically just doubling the gems. You're doubling your gems just by polishing them. Same can be applied to the ingots. You're doubling your value just with a simple polishing machine. Trust me, you're going to want a polishing machine. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, you're going to want a polisher. But I really don't care too much about what the specific value... Oh, hey, well, actually, what I could do is go and see if the... I'm not worried. I'm not worried. But then again, I am curious. Sure, what the heck, why not? Let's do it. Let's do it, I'm curious too. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to test this. We're going to break out our little tester again. And now we're going to test to see how much an iron is, 439, versus a crushed. See? Not too bad. Not too bad. Yes, it was a little bit less. It's a little bit less. However, that was 110? Yeah, you're basically, once again, the same as polishing. You're basically doubling your money. If not going even further than that. If not even going further than that. Because, honestly speaking, here, if it does allow you to have more than just 2 pieces once the weight gets high enough, that's tripling, quadrupling, however many little bits and pieces you get from it. It's awesome. It's great. Now, let us set up the iron. Because, obviously, we're going to be doing that. Now, what I do is, I have it be here, have it face that way, because you're going to need as much space as you can get. You're going to want a lot of space. I'm warning you of that right now, you're going to want a lot of space. You're going to need a lot of space. Because once you get to a certain point where you're basically making so many different types of ores and ingots and such like that, you're going to need to have a lot of extra space. Ooh, and I may have made this a little bit too close. Okay, so what we do is we just go and do that. Well, actually, what we do is we do this. Because, realistically speaking, you can have it go anywhere. You can have the bottom going like so. And that's the fun part about all this, is you can have your belts weaving all around the place. It's nice. It's fun. It's fun. And like I said, what I like to do is I basically like to go and I like to have my gemstones basically filtering out. Basically just grab the gemstones, bring them on over here, toss it on in there, because honestly, if you look at it, only iron's gonna come out of here other than the gemstones. So just go over here, grab the 2 gemstones you're gonna need. Toss them on in there. And just a heads up, you don't need to do it like I did. You don't need to go and have your stuff crushed before you go and put it in the smelter. You can literally just grab a big old chunk of iron ore here. You can just slap it on into here, and boom. Now it's in there. It's smelting. But that's the problem. You're only getting one line of iron. As far as it's concerned, you just slapped one piece of iron in there. However, you'll notice once we get our crushed stuff into here, once it slaps on in, you'll notice something a little bit fun. Any moment now. You see, the crushed counts as an extra line. So, realistically speaking, what you're doing by crushing it is allowing yourself extra resources. It's all about conserving resources. All about conserving resources. That's the great part about this, is you can scale up really, really bloody fast. Like, insanely fast. If you know what you're doing. And that's what I like about this game. It's fun. It's fun to just mess about and make all of this. It's fun. I like doing this. It's enjoyable to me. Just to sit here, slowly make a bit of a game plan. Grab a couple of resources off the belt itself. Drag it on over to here. And just play around. This is why I wanted to go and make a video about this. The game is so much fun to just mess about with. Yeah, sure, some people probably won't see it as very fun because, well, there's really no action. You have to kind of think, but also at the same time, it's not nearly as in-depth or as complicated as Factorio or Satisfactory. But like I said, it's an early access game. I'm sure eventually they're going to get to the point where they're going to be having things as complicated as all of that nonsense. Eventually, they probably will. But for right now, the game is enjoyable. And honestly speaking, I'm not saying that that kind of complicated stuff isn't enjoyable too. But it's nice to have a simple, kind of enjoyable game like this. Nothing too serious, nothing too crazy. It's just enjoyable. Nice and fun. And of course, me personally, I like to every now and again just grab a. I like to just keep a stockpile of one or two of the gemstones over here. Just to be on the safe side, you know? And since I do have that, I'm just gonna go and put the polished one in there because, well, I don't need polished to be sitting in here. The unpolished ones are never going to be leaving there, so why bother having them polished? Sure, it'd make it look nice, don't get me wrong, 100%. Once I get to the late game, I usually have the polished stuff sitting in there purely just because of vanity, but you don't have to. 100% you don't have to. Once it reaches a certain point, you really don't have to worry about any sort of vanity like that project. You can just do things as you wish. And that's why I like this game. You can basically do what you want. You can set up the mines however you want. You don't have to follow what I'm doing. I'm sure as you guys are watching this, you've already thought up of about 3 dozen different ways you would have set up your own factory. I mean, your own, mines here. Things that are way more efficient, way better. You would have done it much better than I could have. That's fine. I don't mind it. Go do it. The game only costs like, what, $10? I don't even remember actually off the top of my head, but however much it is, I guarantee you it's well worth the cost. Even for a early access game, it's well worth the cost. And that's something that I really, really cannot stress enough. It's well worth the cost to go and do whatever you want. And as you can see, we just unlocked a new quest, and that's literally the shaker table. And it's usually about that time that I decide it's about time to go and change all this around. Get it so that it's actually, well, making ingots instead of just tossing the pure ores into here. Because I really don't like just tossing the pure ores in there. I will give you a bit of a spoiler. Later on, you do have to toss in some ore into there. But personally, I don't like doing that. I mean, the scavenger hunt there on the upper left-hand corner, that's I think the second to last. Oh, nope. Third to last, basically. Third to last quest that will actually have you going and tossing any pure ores in. After you get this coal crusher taken care of, Master of Slag. That's the Master of Slag / Coal Mogul. That'll be your last, basically. Yeah, after the scavenger hunt, the only ore you're ever going to need to toss into this little box right here is coal and crushed coal. That's it. That's all you'll ever have to worry about. So, pretty simple. So, what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to call it for now. I think this is where I'm going to leave the video at for now. Obviously, let me know in the comments what you guys think, how we're doing, because obviously, as you can see, I've only messed about with this little entry cavern here. Heck, I haven't even gotten all of it yet, because over here is yet another one. That one too. And obviously that one up there as well. I haven't finished this cavern off yet. So, why don't you guys go ahead and let me know in the comments what you guys are looking, whether you guys like it or not, what I might have done wrong, what have you. And, well, we'll see you later. Have yourselves a nice day, and bye-bye for now.